Why do we compare ourselves to others constantly? Hey, quick question. How many times today have you compared yourself to someone else? Maybe you scrolled past someone's vacation photo and felt a little pang. Maybe you noticed a colleague got praised and thought about your own work. Maybe you just saw someone who seemed more confident, prettier, or smarter, and your brain immediately measured the gap between them and you. If you're thinking all the time, you're not broken. You're human, and there's actual science behind why we do this. So let's dig in. First up, comparison is literally how your brain makes sense of the world. Your brain doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's constantly asking, where do I stand? Am I safe? Am I doing okay? And the easiest way to answer those questions is to look around and see how you're doing relative to everyone else. Think about it like this. If I told you that you ran a mile in 8 minutes, you might think, cool, I guess. But if I told you that you ran a mile in 8 minutes and everyone else in your class ran it in 9 minutes, suddenly you feel great. Or if they all ran it in 7 minutes, you feel a little deflated. The number doesn't change, but the meaning does. And that's because comparison is how we measure value. This is called social reference theory. Your brain uses other people as a mirror. It's not shallow, it's survival. Back when humans lived in tribes, knowing where you stood in the group was genuinely important. Were you respected? Were you a good provider? Would the group have your back? That information kept you alive. The problem is that instinct hasn't updated for our modern world. Here's the second insight. We compare ourselves most intensely to people who are similar to us, but just slightly ahead. A psychologist named Leon Festinger called this the comparison level. You don't really compare yourself to a billionaire CEO or a celebrity. That gap feels too big. It doesn't stick. But someone who's similar to you, same job, same age, same friend group, but doing a little better, that comparison hits different. Imagine two friends. Sarah just got promoted. You're happy for her, genuinely, but then you think, we started at the same time. Why did she move up first? Now you're comparing, and it stings because the gap feels real and achievable. The comparison creates motivation, sure, but it also creates envy, doubt, and resentment, all from looking slightly upward at someone just like you. The third thing to understand is that social media has turned this ancient instinct into steroids. We're now comparing ourselves to hundreds of people per day. We're comparing our real, unfiltered lives to everyone else's highlight reels, and we're doing it constantly. Your brain didn't evolve for this much comparison. It's exhausting. Studies show that heavy social media use correlates with anxiety and depression, especially in young people. Why? Because the comparison never stops. There's always someone doing something more impressive. There's always a gap to notice. But here's what's important. Awareness changes everything. The moment you notice you're comparing yourself, you've already won half the battle. The fourth piece is this. Comparison, it isn't the problem. The direction you compare matters. When we compare ourselves to people doing better, we feel worse. But there's research showing that upward comparison can motivate us if we frame it right. Instead of thinking, they're better than me, you can think, oh, that's possible. Here's what they did. Inspiration instead of inadequacy. Similarly, when we look at people struggling more than us, we feel grateful. That's not shameful. That's useful. It helps us recognize what we have. So here's what you can actually do today. The next time you catch yourself comparing, pause. Ask yourself, who am I comparing to? Why does this comparison matter? Is this motivating me or deflating me? And crucially, am I comparing my behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel? Because that's the real game changer. You're not broken for comparing yourself to others. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, but you get to decide whether that comparison lifts you up or pulls you down. And that choice, that awareness, that's everything.